Internet people, I'm Zane. This video is the first of many attempts to document my process to 100% games. I've been an avid completionist my whole life, as my reasoning is the only way I can get my money's worth from a game is by doing everything in it. So here's the first in what's hopefully gonna be a series. This is my quest to 100% Dark Souls free. My history with the Dark Souls series is thanks to my friends from Finland. They introduced the game to me back in 2024 and bought the first and third games for me. It's thanks to them that this video is even possible, so big shout out to them. Anyways, Dark Souls 3 is the end of the Dark Souls series. So many decades after the events of Dark Souls 1, the Age of Fire is coming to an end, and the would-be Lord of Cinder, Prince Lothric, abandons his duty to relight the First Flame. The previous lords are then reawakened in a vain attempt to take his place, but this also fails. So it's up to us, the Ashen One, the reborn remains of adventurers long fallen who failed to become Lords of Cinder themselves. It's now up to us to slay the lords and handle the First Flame however we see fit. Despite being the third entry in the series, Dark Souls 3 is a very direct sequel to the first game. Many locations in 3 are locations you'd see in 1, but by this point they've corroded and are now rotting over the centuries. Areas like Old Firelink Shrine, the Darkroot Basin, and Anor Londo appear in 3, but they look drastically different and are now shells of their former glory. Many bosses are directly tied to 1 too. The Mad King Osiris, he's a reference to Seek the Scaleless Dragon. The Faerun Legion, fanboys of Knight Artorias, or if you want to get meta, they're technically our fanboys from the first game. And even Dark Souls 1's final boss, Gwyn's son, appears in this game. An exile who opposed his father's rule and now roams the Sanctuary of the Dragons. Dark Souls 3 is a story of decay and frost, but simultaneously the beginning of a new era. The rise of ice sorceries and the withering demons from the first game help to reinforce this. With that synopsis, it's onto the gameplay. At character creation, you're given a wide array of classes to choose from. You can choose a physical fighter like a warrior, a thief, a mercenary, or a spellcaster like a sorcerer, a cleric, or a pyromancer. For the footage you're seeing here, I play as a pyromancer, and in New Game Plus, I spec into strength to use the Firelink Greatsword, with some pyromancy on the side. Once you choose your class, appearance, and starting gift, you wake up in the Cemetery of Ash. The immediate difference you'll notice coming from Dark Souls 1 to Dark Souls 3 is the enemies. Bosses are much more aggressive, fast attacks that can easily kill you if you aren't careful. Thankfully, they're usually well telegraphed and clear when you're supposed to roll out of the way. Rolling's also way more important in Dark Souls 3 than 1. In 1, with heavy enough armor and high enough poise, you could tank a lot of bosses with ease. Not in Dark Souls 3 though. Rolling is the name of the game, and you will need to master it if you want to have a fun time. Besides rolling though, you have quite a few options to dispatch of the undead monsters in your path. Starting out, the best way it seems to deal with enemies and bosses is to whack them to death with a big stick. But the beauty of Dark Souls games is if you're struggling, it's not the only way you can handle a boss. You could throw consumables at a safe distance, use a nearby summon sign while embered up. If you're a spellcaster, you can use Pestilent Mist to just learn the boss patterns as it slowly dies. These are options besides the obvious solution, grind a few more levels and try the boss again. Just remember to play the game how you see fit. You'll succeed, because as famous as this series is for being difficult, it's really only as bad as you want to make it. With that, let's talk about the achievements of Dark Souls 3. These include Covenant, Boss, Collection, and Ending achievements. The Dark Souls series has always had a wide array of Covenants. You can join 9 of them, including 1 from the DLC. 8 are needed for achievements though, and for the most part, you'll find them through simple exploration. The Mound Makers on the other hand, that's a different story. During my multiplayer run with my friend Single, he showed me the earliest way to access the Mound Makers, and I would not have guessed this was how I found them. Another way to access them is by progressing through the quest of Cirrus of the Sunless Realm. By doing this, you end up fighting the leader of the Mound Makers at the end, and defeating him gives you access to the Covenant. Besides that though, the Covenant achievements definitely prove to be the least of my worries, when compared to the main bosses. With a series as famous for boss fights, at least half of the achievements are dedicated to besting these towering beasts and warriors. As I previously said though, there's never one way to deal with a boss, but the most common way is to learn their attack patterns and roll to the beat of their attacks. Once you fight and die enough times, you'll find windows of opportunity and attack through them. Or you could be overleveled like me and still fail several times. But still, most bosses I managed to clear after 5 to 10 tries. Notable ones I struggled on are Osiris, the Nameless King, Freed, and basically 3/4 of the bosses in the Ring City DLC. Osiris in particular was a boss where I learned to suck up my pride. After failing one too many times, I decided to throw in the towel and use the summon to help me, and I beat it the second try. In complete conjunction to this Osiris fight, the Nameless King fight has no summons whatsoever, and I'll be honest, besting him without a summon was pretty difficult. He was a pain in the ass to fight, but I honestly had a lot of fun getting better at him. Successive attempt, I was actually chipping away at his health bar more and more, and then I finally bested him. It was really satisfying. Same experience with Sister Freed too. Learning her attack patterns and punishing through them was very satisfying. The fake out reward with the Titanite slab really caught me off guard though. But with enough persistence and patience, she too fell. With bosses in the Ring City DLC, well, Slave Knight Gael had to take the crowning jewel for my favorite boss. He's the most interesting character in the series too, the oldest human in the entire Souls series, the final barrier at the end of the world. He's really cool. Moving on to the collection achievements, there were certainly a lot of tedious ones. It's no surprise that less than 10% of players on Steam have completed them. A lot of them require playing into New Game Plus to complete. Others are theoretically completable on a single playthrough, but you need to have a lot of knowledge beforehand to properly find them. More often than not though, these achievements require you to play into New Game Plus to complete, especially Master of Rings. If you aren't aware, to get the Master of Rings, you have to get all +2 rings, which can only be found in New Game Plus 2. Truth be told, these achievements were more tedious than anything, and by the end, I was just consulting a guide to help me pick up the loose items. Among them, I'd say the easiest of these are the Master of Expressions achievement. The hardest one had to be the Master of Pyromancies. Now, you'd think the Master of Rings achievement would be the hardest. No, it's Master of Pyromancies. And that's for one reason: Warmth. Warmth is a Covenant reward you get by turning in vertebrae shackles to the Mound Makers. Now, what makes this spell so difficult to get is the drop rate of these items range from 0.8 to 1.2% without any item discovery. This is probably the lowest drop chance out of any Covenant item. The Proof of Concord Keep just nudges it out at a 1% drop rate, but with my luck, it felt like it was at a 0.01% chance. Eventually, I got help from my buddy Singo, who helped me farm the remaining shackles through repeat invasions. Coupled with bad internet connectivity, since we both lived across the world, it took about an hour to do. Still faster, I believe, than grinding the shackles normally, so yeah, big ups to you, man. You really helped save my sanity. Other Covenant rewards, I grinded them out normally too. Here, I just equipped the Symbol of Avarice, the Crystal Sage Rapier, and the Covetous Gold Serpent Ring, and I spent about an hour or so for each Covenant. Last but not least though are the ending achievements. There are 3 endings you can unlock in Dark Souls 3. The first ending is available by default, and the second and third require some exploration to progress. Second ending only requires you to find one item and give it to the Firekeeper. But the third ending requires you to perform a lot of specific tasks to complete. You basically need to get 8 dark signs from leveling up through Yol, and completing Henri of Astora's quest till the wedding ceremony. Doing this should get you 8 dark signs required to get the third, and personally most satisfying, ending. The first time I tried to get this ending, I did everything correctly, except for the fact that I forgot to speak to Yol for my 5-3 level ups. So, my first run, I just chose a default ending. Second time around, I usurped the first flame, and the third time around, I snuffed out the first flame. With that though, it about covers all I want to talk about. Someone coming from Dark Souls 1 to Dark Souls 3, this was a very fun journey to go through. I did kinda wish we got to see more locations implied throughout the Dark Souls series, but what we do get is very satisfying of a conclusion. The fast-paced, roll-heavy combat was difficult to get used to at first, but mastering it was very satisfying. As for achievements, boss achievements were definitely my favorite of the bunch, just for the fun and challenge they provided. My second favorite had to be the endings. It's very satisfying to see how our actions pay off to change the world for better or worse. Third are the Covenant achievements. I always enjoy learning about the factions and people in video games, and discovering these guys and learning about their lore gave me a lot of insight as to how people survive in a world like Dark Souls. Finally are the collection achievements. Now, as I said, not all the collection achievements are bad. Many of them encourage exploration of the world. but a lot of the spell achievements require a lot of grinding to unlock, and unless you had a friend like I had, it was just a tedious process to go through. But yeah everyone, that's my quest to 100% Dark Souls free. I hope you all liked it. Like I said, this is the first in what I plan to be a series where I cover a variety of games. If you enjoyed, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll catch you later. Bye!
Gracious Lord, make London whole.
You will endure this course to learn from it. And it all. Bloodborne.
It's over. fucking over.
You have the high ground.